if it's your first time here, you're welcome to this webinar. This is our fourth webinar actually that we're doing. We try as much as possible to keep webinars about helping you become a better person. And today we are joined by somebody who I have known for almost 17 years, which is quite a long time. And we were with him in high school. He's really come on a very good journey, having written 3 books so far. And this month he's challenged himself to write his 4th book. And he's also the project manager and a marketing and communication specialist at TCM Africa. So he's a man that a lot of good things precede him, and we're excited and very happy to be joined by him today in this webinar. So looking forward to learning a lot from Jamlik, get to be able to get a lot of nuggets from him. And without much further ado, I would like to welcome Jamlik. So Jamlik, over to you.
Thank you very much, Michael, for this opportunity. I am honored to really share, because it's all about having a discussion on areas that really matter. You chose a very good topic that I believe we shall remind ourselves and get a thing or two that can make us stand out in this dynamic and competitive world. So on my side, I think you have done umenichocha sana but ni sawa. So we'll start without much ado. Wale fans wa Katelo husema niwapeleke na rieng. Yeah. So let me see if I can share my screen. Good. As I mentioned, this is the topic that we'll be discussing, and we believe we learn and remind ourselves 1 or 2 things during this webinar. So basically, when it comes to matters to stand out, I believe each and every one of us would be interested to really stand out. And that's how we are wired. That is how we are conditioned. Everybody would like to just be noticed in one way or another. That is why even when it comes to education sector, in graduation, many people aspire to be first class, to have first class honors, although not everyone gets that. So to speak, actually many people want to win. A loss, I say, is only celebrated in the context of losing weight for those who may desire to do so. So we felt that that's a topic really that could make sense for us, and in areas of marketing, areas of branding. And when we speak about those 2 areas, we can't forget sales has to come in play. So where do we begin? Good. So how do we brand ourselves for the marketplace? That's a question you and me should ask ourselves. And who are we? Who am I? Who am I? We'll be answering that shortly, in line with the self-awareness. Do we really know who we are? Where are we going? Where are we going? Where are our clients? Where are our customers? How do you and I want to reach to our customers? Why do we want to reach to the people we want to reach to? In what way are we looking at reaching out to our prospects and also the people we have already won, or rather our existing clients, and you want to continue with a relationship that continues making sense and giving us value? And when do we want to do that? So this takes me back to, where do we start? I'll not take you to the very beginning. That would mean we go back 2,000 years ago when it all started. We may not have the time and the resources to do that. But the beginning to me is basically going back to what I call self-awareness. Do you really know who you are? It's something I'm very passionate about. I train people a lot on self-awareness because I believe once each and every one of us discovers who they are, what they were born to do, what they are made of, their purpose. That now forms the basis to which they can come up with strategies and plans, and how to implement them and realize their goals and dreams. And of course, I advocate for ambitious goals, like as proposed by the Iron Lady, Sir Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. She was the Liberian president. She says that if your dreams do not scare you, then they are not big enough. So self-awareness, who am I? Who are you? Most of the time, you may have realized this when you go for an interview. You're asked to describe yourself. And mostly you start talking of, my name is MC Kogi. I have blah, 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 blah. Although I usually, for standing out, I don't advocate or encourage you to do that. It's important to describe yourself in a unique way. You could start with descriptive words. Like my friends describe me as energetic, passionate, determined, so that you really stand out. That's what this is all about. So many a time we begin from the name. I know most of us, if not all of us, have a name which you are given by our parents or our guardians, and that name has a meaning. I may not go deeper to what Kogi means. Some of you may know. But I was pondering earlier when I was preparing for this discussion, looking at some names like Mauti, Peter Mauti. If a gentleman has that name, Mauti, by the way, is a real name in Kenyan context. This is a person, every day when they wake up, they are, as much as all of us are forever grateful when you are given a chance in life, every morning. For a Peter Mauti, he would be super grateful because his name is biased towards not being in existence. Look at a name like Mwakazi, that's a popular name. A guy like Mwakazi is jobless. Really, he would have a challenge with his name. The 44th president of the United States, President Barack Obama, in his book Dreams from My Farm, or something like that, he quoted someone that every man is trying to live up to his father's expectations or trying to make up for his father's mistakes. And this comes back to the name we were given. But I don't want us to dwell so much on the name because we may not have much to do with it. But to an extent, a name may influence what we do, how we react to 1, 2, 3 things. So what is really self-awareness? I look at self-awareness in 3 dimensions. One, it's basically how you clearly understand yourself, how you clearly see yourself. 1, how you know or think about yourself. That's the first dimension. 2, how your friends, close friends, and genuine friends think and know about you. And they're able to tell you without sugarcoating anything. And the third dimension of self-awareness is how you interact with the world or your environment. That's what self-awareness is, according to me. And how do you really discover yourself? I've illustrated this in my first book, The X Matrix 7 P's of Success. Number 1 is very simple. Many men don't do this, but our ladies are like this a lot, looking themselves in the mirror. I call it the mirror test, whereby, as we say, figures and numbers do not lie, then a mirror also does not lie. It's a reflection of who you are. If you look at me, for instance, I cannot fit very well in the context of or in the career of being a bouncer. Do I look threatening? I don't think so, but I could be wrong. A gentleman by the name William Tennessee said that there comes a time when you look yourself in the mirror and realize that what you see is all you'll ever be. And so you accept it, or kill yourself, or stop looking into the mirror. I choose we accept ourselves. That is a good step in self-awareness. We accept our weaknesses, we work on them, and possibly make them strengths. I see I'm not the best example, but I've quoted again in my work. I had a weakness when I was growing up, which I was able to work on and somehow convert it into a strength. I was a serious stammerer. I was extremely shy. but today I'm a speaker, I'm a corporate MC, I'm a trainer. So I believe if a weakness is not permanent, like let's say a disability, it can be worked on and it can be converted to a strength. So one way to discover yourself is look yourself in the mirror. What do you see? Can be an indicator of your strengths. You are tall, you could become a model. You are huge, you could think of becoming a security guy, so to speak. Number two, how you can discover who you are, be self-aware, is getting feedback from, as I mentioned, genuine friends. Friends who are able to tell you this is what it is, without sugarcoating, without making you feel good, but telling you things as they are. Take time to seek feedback from your friends. When you want to make a decision that you feel you need to consult, ask them, how do you know about me? Can I really handle this situation? Can I really hack this? If you have interviewed and you are to get a marketing job, and it's in an industry that you are not very well experienced with, check with your close friends and they tell you whether you are best to remain as an accountant or take a new challenge as a marketer. Then, of course, meditation. This has been opined by the likes of Oprah Winfrey, the late Miles Monroe, among others, that in moments of meditation, when you reflect about how you reflect, when you take time to have that, what I call the nothingness moment, could be like on a Friday or a Saturday when you don't have much to do and you are there resting on your couch or lying on your bed. You are not asleep, but you are there relaxing. The kind of thoughts that keep coming to your mind frequently, think about those thoughts. Think about what you like to think about most. That could be an indicator to your purpose. That could be an indicator to your calling. Could be a song, Baby Yangu Kigeugeu na kadhalika. Perhaps you are being called to be a musician, and so on and so forth. And of course, there are tests that can be done by you and me, and the results of those tests tell us the kind of personalities we have, and more or less point to us, tell us who really we are. Are we extroverted? Are we outgoing, so to speak? Sanguine, personality? Are we introverted or melancholic in nature? Are we thinkers? Are we feelers? So there's our website, www.16personalities.com, that anyone can visit and do an honest test there. And the results are going to really point out to you and me on what we are good at, which gives us a competitive advantage, and what our shortcomings are that we can work on as we aim to stand out in this dynamic and competitive world. Then, of course, we talk of self-analysis. Jite kamkutano, call yourself for a meeting and be hard on yourself, ask yourself tough questions. What am I good at? What am I not good at? What do people, am I rude to people? Am I courteous? Am I generous? Write your strengths, your weaknesses, and then look at them and more or less come to terms with really who you are, to be self-aware. You can also embrace what we call SWOT analysis. You analyze your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities that are at your disposal, and the threats that you face. So why have we been talking about self-awareness? Why do we need to know who we are? Why do we need to discover your purpose? For your information, one of my friends, Dr. Rebecca Nganga, she's a lecturer at Daystar, mentioned at some point that the ages of 20s and early 30s are not the ages of specialization, but the ages of exploration. It is a continuous process to really discover who you are. Some of us really discovered ourselves when we were in institutions of higher learning. When I was at campus, that's when I really discovered who I was, because there are people I interacted with in high school, for instance, and later on they find out who I turned to be, and they're like, is it really you? What were you hiding when you were in high school? So all these things about speaking, about storytelling, about corporate emceeing, and they came out when I was at the university, that late teens and early 20s. So don't beat yourself so hard if even at this juncture, you really have not come to terms with what you want to do with yourself and what your greatest strengths are. Keep looking, keep searching. We can help. We can have a discussion with that, but it's something you can do on your own. Yeah, so why should we really be self-aware? Research has been done, and some of the things that came out from that survey, it's about the people who really are self-aware. One, they are quite confident. They tell less lies. They are more creative. So becoming self-aware has all these positivity and good things that you can derive from, because you know where you are heading. You'll have all the confidence to do all the planning, to strategize, and to really hit the ground running. When we are still on statistics, allow me to mention something that may shock some of us. That this research was done by, what's her name? Tasha, yes, Tasha Urich did this survey, and she realized that out of her sampling, her population that she sampled, that 95% of people think they are self-aware and they are not. It's about 10 to 15% of people in the world who are actually self-aware. What am I trying to say? That on a good day, 80% of you and me, of people in the world, are actually not self-aware. They don't know what they should become. They don't know what they are yet to fully discover who they are. They are yet to know their purpose. So it comes back to why I always encourage us to go back to the beginning, to really begin by understanding who we are, what we are good at, and what our shortcomings are, and how we can somehow work on the shortcomings and try our level best to turn them to strength and gain a competitive advantage that will make you and I to stand out in this dynamic and competitive world. Next slide, Michael. And if you get a query or a hot comment, feel free to drop something on the chat. We'll be able to see it because I said this is interactive. So if I may ask at this juncture, if you believe you are self-aware, feel free to drop a 1 in the chat. Drop 1 if you believe you are self-aware. If you think you are still not self-aware, drop a 2. Have you discovered your purpose? Drop 1, write 1 in the chat. Do you feel that you are still in the journey of discovering who you are? Then write a 2. Good, Maureen, I can see you have written a 2. Anybody else? Robert, yes, as I said, don't be hard on yourself. Nobody was born knowing. I remember, Esther, congratulations. You already know the direction you are taking. I remember sometimes I do school tours as trainer and also a transformation speaker. And you find for the 844, let me go with 84. I know we are embracing a new, Patricia, I can see 1. I know we're embracing a new curriculum, which is more practical, and it's welcome. You realize in the 8 years, in the 4 years, a student has no idea which course they should be pursuing after Form 4. As much as they have studied about all the mohorovisic discontinuity, all the rocks, all the soils, all the sweet-smelling esters, polymers, and the like, but they have no idea. And this is a true story. Many students, they take my contact and ask me, so MC Kogi, what should I be pursuing at the university? And I tell them honestly, I don't know. But there's something we can discuss for us to really analyze what you are good at, analyze your results and your likes and dislikes. And somehow out of that, we are able to point you, to give you, to narrow down the alternatives. So it is something I encourage that
even as parents, for those who are parents and they are watching this webinar, take time to interact with your children, help them discover really who they are. Yeah, don't let them not experience what some of us experienced, that we discovered ourselves way back, way after, way after when you're already in high school, so that we can save time and students can pursue areas that are of greatest interest. So, Michael, I think we can have Q&A briefly in areas to do with, discovering ourselves. Yeah, we can have some general comments, or if there is no comment, we can proceed to the next step.
Thanks for that. I'm hoping you can hear me.
Yes, loud and clear.
So I'm just checking in case we have any questions. So I can see one from a gentleman called John who's saying, how did you yourself become self-aware?
How did you? Good. I'm assuming that question is directed to me. Well, good. Good. Thank you very much for that question, which is how I became self-aware. As I mentioned, I discovered myself in campus, and I forgot to mention, although I've mentioned it in my book, that in addition to the mirror test and the meditation, doing the test, the personality tests, getting feedback from others, there's what I call trial and error. Yeah. So personally, I discovered myself through trial and error. I'm a risk taker. I like attempting things, because only by trying can you really know if you can hack something or if you are wired for something or not. So for me, I remember, I think I was in second year. And I had a friend one of my friends was George, and we were coming from mess, if you like, the dining hall after lunch, and we passed by one of the hostels. There was a notice board, and a company by the name Storymoja Africa, they're into publishing books, and they used to organize storytelling competitions. So we saw a notice there that was asking for 10 entries for people to submit their names to express interest that they would tell a story in 3 days in front of everybody, and the best 3 would be picked. And George and I asked ourselves, what are we to lose anyway? Let's just try this thing out, and I think we can compose a story here and there and come and see how it goes. And we took the courage, submitted our names, and 3 days later, Storymoja Africa team came. We gathered somewhere outside one of the hostels. We had some fans. And I remember narrating a story which had been told by one of my dean back when I was pursuing a course before joining university. And somehow I came in position 1 out of 10, those who had submitted entries. And I went for quarterfinals. That's the farthest I went. The year that followed, I decided, well, last time, the previous year, I told a story that I had borrowed from my dean. Why can't I now compose my own story about women empowerment? I called it Kagendo, and see how it goes. So again, the year that followed, Storymoja came, asked for entries, and I submitted my entry. I again came first in Lower Kabete campus. We went to quarterfinals. I went to semifinals, and I was among the 6 finalists in this country. The event was live on NTV. And that could not have happened if I did not attempt. So for me, I would say it was through trial and error. And then I discovered, kumbe, I can tell stories. And guys were liking it. The guys in campus were like, hey, nini. They even started inviting me. One of the ladies invited me to their church to go and entertain them with stories. Na kufanya matoe sadaka kwa wingi. I think the project they were doing somewhere in Keno. So for me, it was through trial and error. From there now, I started noting that really my storytelling have also a common background. So later on, when I noted some, again, call for submission for comedians in Kenya Corner, I said, I think I can try this. I again did trial and error. I submitted my name, and I got a text back, prepare a comedy in 3 minutes. And we went for auditions at the Hilton. That was back in 2012. We were 97 of us, and I was among about the 10, 15 that were picked. So the daring, the try and error, I discovered now I can do comedy, really stand-up comedy. And the rest is history. Again, writing, I never knew I could write. It began like a joke. Again, the same story, Moja Africa, came after I had started interacting with them, and they were running a competition whereby about, I don't know how many entries they were looking for, but the winner, the top 3 would get a mentorship program and be published, and the top like 70 would be mentored on how to write. So again, I did a manuscript. Actually, that book has never been published. I called it The Power to Read. It was basically campus stuff. I put it together, submitted it. Somehow, I was top 65, and you were called for a workshop. Though I did not go for the workshop, I opted to focus on my end of semester. And from that, today, I'm going to my 4th book. So for me, it has been looking at opportunities and grabbing them and trying, saying, what am I to lose? Yeah, and somehow with that, I've discovered who I am. I have seen my strengths, and I've also come to terms with my weaknesses. Michael, I think I've answered that question.
Brilliantly. Thank you. I think just looking at time, given we're at 6:30, I think maybe we proceed, and then we'll have another Q&A towards the end of the session.
Right. Thank you very much for that. So we'll proceed to how to up our marketing game. And basically, let's again begin from the basics. You and I, of course, know what marketing is. I say everybody is into sales and marketing. I could be wrong. If you think everyone is into sales and marketing and you agree, write 1. If you think not everybody is into sales and marketing, you can write a 2. Why do I think that everyone is into sales and marketing? Really, even if, let's say you're an accountant, you work with numbers. I can say someone has said 1. Yes, Naita, Patricia, they agree with me. Amazing. Liz also agrees. Good. I think the eyes have it. So why I believe everyone is into sales and marketing, whether you are marketing a product or marketing yourself, whether you are marketing an idea, coming into current issues like recently Donald Trump, Joe Biden, they were marketing their manifestos, their policies, and whoever did the best marketing, had the best marketing strategy, carried the day. Before reggae was stopped here in Kenya, there were campaigns, some for BBI, others against BBI. Our very own politicians trying to promote the contents of the BBI or what is missing and needs to be adjusted here and there. If you're a parent back at home, you could be strategically marketing to promoting the idea of your children to do the proper hand washing and why it is important for them to do that in light of the current challenging times of COVID-19. Let's say even if you're a police officer, you're not into marketing, but you have an old TV that you want to get rid of, you really have to look for someone maybe to sell at a discounted price. So that's why I believe all of us in one way or another are into sales and marketing. And most importantly, in personal branding, where we market ourselves as brands. And what is branding? Branding, many people, before I actually come to that, back to marketing. The average person thinks and believes marketing is all about promotion and advertising. It is more than that. Marketing really entails the 4 P's of marketing, what we call the marketing mix. The first P is product. We need to look at product development. What kind of product are you coming up with? Or do you want to design? Which idea do you want to bring to the market? What are its features? For you as a product designer, it's important to look at the features. For us as the consumer of your product or the intended prospective clients, we look at the benefits you derive from your product, not the features. So it is more than just promotion advertising. So the product comes into place, product development. Number two, we talk of pricing. The price is your product for mass market. Like them, if it's in television, you look at Citizen, for instance, most of their programs are geared towards the mass market. Para Papa Shirandula, may he rest in peace. Something everyone can resonate with a security guard. Mother-in-law, whether you're married or not, you have experienced your mother or your auntie or everyone else bring all the drama that comes about. So mass market. Maybe your product, I always say you cannot be like Safaricom, whereby if you walk around, anything that is green, if it's not a tree, then it's a Safaricom shop or a customer care place. You can't be everywhere. You can't be everything. You really have to know your niche. Will be coming to that later on. So a product, a pricing, we talk of place. Where do you want to distribute it? Where is your product located? Okay, so these are some of the things that make marketing, packaging. How do you package your product? If it's an individual you're talking about, like personal branding, how do you package yourself so that you can sell like a hotcake, so to speak, that your brand can stand out? And last but not least, in the light of marketing, is customer service. After you've made a sale, after yes, because I said when we talk of marketing, the whole aim is you convert, you make a sale. Do you stop at, yes, I've sold a book, hey, cheers, mimi ni mnoma sana? Hapana. You go to the next level, you appreciate, you get to do a follow-up. How was the product to the consumer? And you are able to like bring them back for repeat business, and they can even go to the next step and become advocates, whereby they'll be like ambassadors of your products and services. Coming back to branding, what is branding? Branding is basically, it's not logo, it's not a building, it's not a color, you know. Branding is an aggregation of factors and elements, so to speak, because branding, it's all that. It's the website, it's the logo, but not basically just the logo. It's many factors that you combine together. It entails elements like image, what we can see with our naked eyes. Yeah, we see your building, we see your stuff branded with the t-shirts having your website name, having your positioning statement, you know, that's image, we can see it. It's about corporate identity. Corporate identity is what you as an organization want to be known with by your prospects and your customers. Corporate identity basically entails three areas. One is the vision statement, you know, to be the market leader in speaking industry, you know. The vision, that's the vision statement. Then we have the mission statement. And the third one is the core values that make the corporate identity. That also forms part of the brand. And the other thing that constitutes the brand is what we call reputation, corporate reputation. This may not be the perfect example, but I remember some time back, one of the deputy governors in a certain county was trending for the wrong reasons. He was caught in a compromising situation. And reputation is all about the opinion people get about you. The gentleman in question, on a good day, he's a man of God. He preaches. But the opinion that went ahead of the other good things he does was where he was caught in a compromising situation. So it's important you take care of your reputation because it affects your brand. So allow me to answer, what is really branding? Branding is basically the differentiating factor, what makes you and I to stand out, to be a notch higher, a cut above. Branding is actually like a feeling. It narrows down to perception, Yes, so branding is all about perception. So many things coming together, but comes down to perception. Good. So how do we up our marketing game now that we have understood what marketing is all about and what branding is all about? I encourage us to want to be creative. this world, yesterday's formula for success could be tomorrow's recipe for failure. So we keep trying to improve on what you already know, trying to go the extra mile, becoming creative. Some of us face that challenge every other time. If you invite me today in your end of year party as a corporate MC, and the next year you invite me, the jokes I'll crack this year, I cannot repeat those jokes next year. I have to be creative and bring content that is way above and better than what you already experienced. So this is something, when you market our products and market ourselves, we have to put in mind. We be creative better than our competitors. Second is let's be innovative. Let's embrace social media and technology. I say on a light note that if today you're not on Twitter, for instance, you probably do not exist. Yeah. If your products are not on Facebook, there is no Facebook page. You're not on Instagram. You're not on LinkedIn, and all these social media platforms. You again come up with a strategy. Why do you need to be on LinkedIn? Maybe your product will not do very well there. Why do you need to be on Facebook? And why do you need to be on Instagram or WhatsApp? But the point I want to mention is, as much as traditional methods work, really embracing technology and social media will take us to the next level. I first sold 200 copies of my first book through my website. 200 copies. People, I shared the link, and so I'm trying to mention to you how the power, how social media is powerful. Embracing technology. If we look at the evolution of money, we are talking of cryptocurrency as the next big thing. Like I've been mentioning to people, they can even buy my books using cryptocurrency with dollar equivalent. Good. It's also important to know our, I call it USP, unique selling proposition. Unique selling proposition. What makes you stand out? What makes you stand out as you compare with the competitors? And here we have a Venn diagram. You may have come across this in high school and you're wondering, MC Kogi, where shall we ever apply Venn diagram? Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Really a description of this is what your customers want, what your competitors do well, that's the other circle, and what you do well. So the intersection of what you do well, what you excel in, and what your customer want, that is your unique selling proposition. You can see what your competitors do well in is not part of where we have the USP intersection. So you really, as a marketer who wants to stand out, you really need to define your unique selling proposition. What like my clients talk about me, I say I'm not the best example, is when they invite me as a speaker, I'll not be just lecturing things there. I'll try to be interactive. I'll crack a joke here and there. I'll be entertaining. So that could be my unique selling proposition. You need to know what your unique selling proposition is. Good. Again, I would be remiss if I do not highlight the principle of hedgehog. If I may ask a question, if a hedgehog and a fox are challenged to a duel or a combat, they challenge each other to a combat, who do you think would win the fight? We have the hedgehog being challenged by a fox to a duel or a combat or a fight. Who do you think will win the fight? Type 1 for fox, type 2 for hedgehog. If you think the hedgehog will win the fox will win the fight, type 1. If you think the hedgehog will win, 2. So 1 is for fox, 2 is for hedgehog. Who thinks otherwise? 2. Esther Zuki says that yes. Naita, Liz. Good. I can see a lot of 2. Amazing. I'll go with 2. The hedgehog will win the fight. Why? Basically, the fox has 101, if we don't go with 1,000,001 advantages over the fox. It's bigger. It can run faster. It can kick the fox. It has all those advantages it can outdo the hedgehog with. However, the hedgehog only has one strategy. When it sees the fox approaching, it simply curls itself and leaves its spikes protruding. And with that, the fox will cow and the hedgehog will have won the fight. What am I trying to say? You need to find your one thing, like your unique selling proposition is just mentioned. What makes you tick? And again, here we have a Venn diagram. I lifted this from my second book, A Better Tomorrow, that has all the topics to do with image and personal branding, how to stand out, basics of networking and personal finance and entrepreneurship. So I lifted this there, whereby I describe the hedgehog principle using this Venn diagram, where we look at your passion. What do you love doing? What are you so good at? Then we look at your talent, your natural innate abilities, and it's important to keep growing your talent and make it better by acquiring new skills. And third, tusidanganyane, whether you have talent and you're passionate about something, at the end of the day, you have bills to pay. So it's important to find a way where you can monetize your talent, your skills, what you are good at. Someone once said that never give for free what you are good at. Even if something looks free, there is always a catch. So they say there is no free lunch, so to speak. So the point of intersection is what I'm talking of. Find your X. Find your main thing. Look at Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has many brand categories. They have Fanta, they have Sprite, they have Crest, they have Coke. But out of those many brands, the cash cow is Coke. That is the X. You don't want to find your X. Maybe you separated on very wrong terms. I don't mean that X. I mean your success factor. I mean be like the hedgehog, to find your main thing that blends your talent, your passion, and you are able to make a living out of it. That would be your main factor. That's what you need to focus on to make you stand out in a dynamic and competitive world. Good. So basically, I had more or less mentioned what image is all about, what reputation is all about, what corporate identity is all about, that branding is all about perceptions. And I had mentioned that personal branding is how you market and brand yourself. You market yourself as a brand. That's what personal branding is all about. And I encourage you and I to continue working on ourselves as brands. Yes. When you go for interviews, just stand out. We look at the personal brand. Just before we look at this, I have a quick question for you. One slide back, Michael. The question I have for you is, I mentioned branding narrows down to one thing, the perception. And in branding, we talk of singularity. It is a single thing the brand offers, which makes it distinct. The question I have for you is, let's look at, like, for instance, cars. If I'm looking for a car that offers you and me comfort, what car would that be? In the chat, you can mention the name of the car. The car, when we talk of comfort, luxury, let's talk of luxury and prestige. Luxury and prestige, which car is that? No right or wrong answer, nor there is no problem when you try. Someone says Duke. So which car gives us luxury and prestige? Someone say, Range Rover. I see. Range Rover is not even a car, it's a machine. We say they are cars and they are means of transport. Benz, I like that. Patricia, I'll go with you. Luxury, yes. Luxury, prestige, Mercedes Benz. What about comfort? Not comfort, I mean safety. That one, there is only one car that is best known for safety. Which car is that? Which car is all about safety? For interest, Hammer, sababu ni kubwa, Nyundo, safety, Benz, It used to be, I also used to think it was Benz, by the way, until someone corrected me. It's good to hear what the truth of the matter is. They talk of Volvo. I'm meant to understand it's Volvo. When you talk of safety, it's better. So what I'm trying to mention is when it comes to brand, it narrows down to a singularity. You know, what does MC Kogi exhibit? Is it energy? Simple. So you as a brand, what do you exhibit? What do you bring out? So safety, Volvo. Prestige, luxury, Mercedes. That's what I wanted to bring out. Good. Personal branding is a journey. This one I'll just basically give an example that you and me can relate with. And I'll give an example of services we may use. I'll talk of cab services. Let's talk of Taxify or Uber. You are in town. We give an example of like you are near Kencom. You go to your phone, to the app and call for you know how you go to the app and you want to ask to request for a cab. And the driver, you do all the things you do in the phone, and the driver calls you. Hello, yes, naona unaitisha taxi, hata siko mbali na wewe by the way, niko tu hapa Kencom, where are you? Unamwambia maybe kwa Ambassador, nakwambia just cross the road, kuna jam, ukuje twende mahali, naona unaenda hapa hill. So that is basic. You have basically communicated. The driver of the Taxify ride has informed you as the client that ako pande ile ya Kencom, wewe vuka barabara kutoka Ambassador, upande gari upeleke hapa hill. That's basic. We need to go over and about that if you are to stand out. We need to exceed. So this cab driver, you book the cab. They call you, they ask you where you are. You tell them you are at Ambassador. Whether there is traffic or not, they tell you, let me come pick you there. You are the client. You know, you forego the comfort, the traffic and all that. You go and meet the client at their point of convenience. So you exceed expectations. Once you pick the client, I give the next example is you need actually to surprise your client using the same example of client and who is asking for a cab. You have now gone to meet the drivers of the cab has gone to meet the client. You even if they have a parcel or a package, you open the boot and help them put the luggage in the boot and close the boot. If it's a lady and you are a gentleman, you know, of course, show how a gentleman you are. You can even open the door for the lady, close it, go to your door and drive off. You have surprised her. She may not have experienced this before. Finally, you need to delight, to really wow your clients for you to stand out in this dynamic world. So again, you open the door and you have taken your client to Upper Hill. Maybe she lives in Upper Hill. She has paid you, but you open the boot again, help her with the luggage. Maybe she lives in an apartment. Take all the trouble, take her to floor number 3. And she'll be like, nobody has ever done this before, you know? And if it's early in the year, you can even give her a calendar, you know? As in you have delighted. This client will really remember you. And they'll even save your number for even future business and the like. So we really need to delight our clients. Good. We are now in the last segment, whereby it's about communication and networking. So, you know what communication is. It's all about exchanging information between one party to another to pass a message. So it is what we say and how we say it. That's very important. Communication is a two-way process. It's two-way because as a speaker, I need to know, am I communicating this evening? I can see that through the interaction, through the chats. So communication is two-way. We need to have feedback for us to know that communication was successful. Then let us not just talk. Let us communicate. Are we passing information? Are we getting feedback? It's all about that. So how best should we communicate? It is all about effective communication. Good. Effective, yes, effective communication. This, we may not go through all the 7 C's of communication that are recommended to be an effective communicator. And it's so important. I find most clients, when they invite TCM Africa, TCM stands for Training, Coaching, and Mentoring Africa. It's a company I work with. When you ask the human resource and the training department to highlight in advance the areas of interest where they would like us to address before the training, communication is usually mentioned. Communication, teamwork, you know, all that. So it's so important because everything begins and stops with communication. Think about it. So it's so important for us to be effective communicators. One of the C's to consider that has been proposed by researchers is let's be clear in communication. Clear. Let's not use tough words to try that we know so much. Let's be clear. Let's be understood. The second C of effective communication is completeness. Let whoever is listening to us get to be in a position to follow us from the beginning to the end. Let them feel that we have really communicated something. Yeah, our statement was complete. There was no omissions. Courteous. This is very important. Courteous is placing yourself into the shoes of the other person. For instance, you work with an organization, your boss may be from not from Kenya, so they're not even conversant with the cartel's language of Sheng. And over the weekend, you take all the trouble, you are partying somewhere, I hope you are partying safe in these COVID times. And on Monday morning, you wake up with hangovers, you feel sick, maybe you even took all those drinks that excite you. And you feel you need to send an apology and say you're not reporting to work. And you call your boss and you decide to do it in Sheng. Bazenga, unajua jana tulikuwa tei, nini, leo sitatokelezea wera, you're assuming that your boss understands Sheng. You're not courteous. So it's important to put yourself into the shoes of the person you're communicating to and use a language that both parties are comfortable with and understand. The other C is concise. Being brief and to the point. Be brief and to the point. I cannot overemphasize that. Concrete. Be clear. Be clear in what you are saying. Just like concrete, it's firm. Be firm and clear. Correct. Don't come tell us that, Joe Biden has been elected as the 44th president of the United States of America. No, that is not correct. 44th was Obama. Joe Biden will be the 46th. So whatever you are communicating, let it be correct, let it be true. Coherent is all about there is logical flow of what you are trying to say. So these are the 7 C's of communication that will help you and I to become better communicators and to stand out. It's about assertive communication. Assertive. How assertive are we? Actually, effective communication is actually under assertive communication. So basically, when you're assertive, it's more or less being firm. You are honest. You are respecting the rights of others. You also want to hear what they have to say. You exude confidence in your communication. You are expressing your needs. Why are you communicating? If you are the boss, can you be clear? Can your team members really not just hear you talk, but hear you communicate? You want a report by this day, and the report should look like this and this and that. And why do you need that urgently? And who should do it? You're expressing your needs. You are assertive. Make good eye contact. That is very important. Even like in handshake, you shake someone's hands. That's a whole thing we can discuss. Matters of image and whatever we can discuss in a whole week. You shake the hand firmly and say someone's name like Michael, and look them in the eye. For now, we are not shaking hands because of COVID. So, but make good eye contact. It's very good in assertive communication. Speak with a firm voice. Mean what you say and say what you mean. Next slide. Yes, be direct. Don't be ambiguous. Use polite words. Sorry, I'm sorry, I am late. I'm sorry, I was not able to send you the report in time. And start with I. I is simply shifting the blame to the person you are talking to and acknowledge, I understand, Paul, that you are new in this organization. But it's important for you to understand our culture that we report at 8, not at 8:30 as you have come today. Instead of saying, you, Paul, you have a problem of coming late every other time. So, when you speak with I, you are shifting the blame from the offending party. So it's an important strategy in assertive communication. Criticize the behavior, not the person. That's very important. Make commitments. Yes, why do you want to communicate? What do you want to be done? By who and by when? Or also, what are you bringing to the table yourself? Communicate with respect. Very important, very important. In the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, matters of respecting other people, minding them is very important. It's a book I recommend. And before I forget, for marketing and branding, the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, 22 Immutable Laws of Branding, those are books I highly recommend that you can revisit after this. Find a solution, not a problem when communicating. Good. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very passionate about this. I'm very passionate. I don't know about you. I'm very passionate about networking. Because the likes of Robert Kiyosaki have mentioned that the richest people in the world look for and build networks. Everyone else looks for work. So that's how important networks are. You know, how many people do you have in your circle? You could be having 5,000 friends on Facebook, Giritano, but how many would be of value to you? In my book, A Better Tomorrow, there is a whole chapter about basics of networking. I actually lifted the 100 contact database from there. This is what I recommend. If you forget anything in this presentation, don't forget about the 100 contact database. Simply analyze your friends. Yeah, have a category, have their name, full name. It's important you know your people by name and mention it correctly. I hear some people calling me MC Kogi. No. You may feel offended. I'm not Kogi. It is Kogi, you know. You call someone by their correct name. Get the basics right. That's why even we say when you wake up, the first thing you do, make up your bed. At least you'll achieve the first thing before you engage each other. Begin with the basics. Get someone's name right. So in the 100 contact database, I recommend write the name of, categorize your contact, your people. Is it family? Is it family? Is it friends? Is it colleagues? Is it an acquaintance, someone who was introduced to you by maybe your friend or family and you're not very familiar with? Amjazoeana. So you categorize them like that. Write their full name, their email address, their phone number, their likes and dislikes. Do they play golf? Where did you meet them? You know, just 100. Why am I talking of 100? It may be impractical to really know your 5,000, 10,000 people in person. And with this 100, it's simply geared towards what we call the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, whereby this 100 could be the 20, because 80% rule is all about like 20% of the client you focus on would more or less bring you 80% of business. Look at your wardrobe. You wear 20% of the clothes in that wardrobe 80% of the time. Look at the menu in a week. You repeat 20% of the mafoga and the like every in a week. 20% of what you prepare, you have it like 80% of the time, so to speak. So 80-20 rule or 20-80 rule is very practical in networking. The people who give you business, the people who care to know who you are, let those people be in your 100 contact database. And then what do you do with them? I recommend number 2, talk to them at least once a month. I recommend pigia wao simu, call them. But if they prefer texting, fine. But I first recommend call them. Check on how they are doing before you betray yourself. Hey, you know what? My books are out. You can get a copy. A Better Tomorrow is out. It's only $10 or 1,000 Kenya shillings. No. Check on how they are doing. Look at the problems, the challenges they could be having. How can you be of value to them? That's the third point. How can you be a solution provider to their toothache? What ails them? Find a common ground. If it's an acquaintance, someone you're not very familiar with. What brings you together? Do you play golf together? Do you go to the same place of worship? Is it the mosque? Is it the church? Whatever. So finding a common ground is very important. Do you have the same sense of fashion and style? From there, you're able to pick a conversation. So really know your 100 contact database very well. Because you just need these 100 people. They can connect you to 1,000 others. So I highly recommend in networking, have 100 contact database, or even 50. You can begin with 50 before you go to 100. Call them, give them value before you finally betray your selfish interests and agenda. then thank them sincerely whenever they offer you an opportunity. Whenever they do something good to you, thank them. Do them a cake. Take them flowers and chocolate. That means you don't have to buy them flowers and chocolate. Give them what they like. Finally, they come first. I had mentioned this. Don't betray yourself. Selfish interests first. Consider your people in your network first. Let them come first. Let them feel valuable. Let them know you understand them. Good. We are more or less done. And these are my final thoughts. This is where we are. And the difference between here where we are and there where we want to go is basically that T there. T for time. So the many things I've mentioned today on how to market yourself, how to up your game, how to network, how to become a great communicator. I've shared a few personal examples and insights to make it relevant. Know that Rome wasn't built in a day. Remember that personal branding and networking are personal and they take time. Begin from the bottom. Begin down there. You may not even have that 100 contact database because only two things begin from top. Can someone in the chat tell me the only two things that begin from the top, not bottom? Someone tell me the two things that begin from top. Everything else begins from bottom. Anybody? The only two things that you begin from top. Everything else you have to begin from scratch. Yeah, correct. Liz, digging a grave. Yes, or digging a hole. Hey, Liz, unafaa kupewa, umechangamka sana leo. I agree. That is one. Digging a hole or digging a grave. The rain. Okay. Next, any other thing that we can begin from top? Yes, rain has also to begin from the top. That's a new one. Yes, we all learn. I've also learned. And rain was not part of my menu. But I agree, Robert. I agree. Rain. The other one is learning how to swim. Yes, learning how to swim. Good. So let's appreciate the process that we will not become experts in day one. We will not stand out in day one, but we work on ourselves. We grow our personal brands, and we shall reach there. Still on the same, these are quotes by Warren Buffett. One of the top billionaires in the world is from US. He says, no matter how great the talent or effort, some things just take time. You can't produce a baby in 1 month by getting nine women pregnant. Yes, so be patient with yourself. Not everything must happen at lightning speed. The problem with you and I, or most of us, is we want things to happen here and now. If you are taking coffee, you want to take instant coffee. If it's food, you want to take fast foods. If it's driving, you want to drive on the fast lane. And if it's watching a movie and entertainment, you want to watch Fast and Furious. What happened to patience, my dear friends, my dear ladies and gentlemen? So be patient with the process, but that does not mean we become complacent or lazy, so to speak. Let's begin today implementing these insights, because unless we implement, then this presentation was not worth it. So be consistent. Remain relevant by doing research, by embracing technology. Being consistent as a marketer, surely, every day you must do marketing efforts. For those who follow me on social media, Jamlik Kogi, aka MC Kogi, on YouTube, Kogi Live, you always find, like, every day I am posting something. It even take all the trouble to design some marketing collateral. I am consistent because whether you like it or not, this is a fact, by the way. If you're in sales and marketing, you convert a prospect on average during the 8th attempt. So in sales and marketing, you have to be patient. You convert during the 8th attempt. And this is something I've tried, it works, it is researched. Then last but not least, know your subject. You cannot think that you do not understand. You must know it inside out. Know your subject. Thank you. So Michael, it's time for final thoughts, questions from the members before we wind up.
I think thank you very much.
Someone can even comment how the presentation was.
Yes.
Yes, proceed, Michael.
I think this was a very brilliant presentation. I think the two things that I've really learned out of this is I really like the example of the things that actually start from the top and just being patient. I think one of the things that people take lightly is the factor of time. Yeah, because you can't get to everything in an instant. It does take time for you to improve yourself, and consistency is one of the big things. So thank you very much for that. I'm just looking through the Q&A box, so I cannot see any questions. I'm assuming that today's session was absolutely clear. But I think the one I would just like to ask you as we close off the session is, if you mentioned that networking is one of the big things. So, if I'm looking to build my 100 contact database today and I don't have people, so, how can I be able to start?
Very well. I've actually mentioned that in the book. Just the question you asked, it's interesting. You don't have to be worried where to start. I always say start where you are. Start where you are, in that there are people already in your life. There is family. But again, we have nuclear and extended. You find, if you consider extended, then even your 100 contact database is already overwhelmed. So look at really from like family, who in your nuclear family you are very close with. Like for instance, in my case, I'm very close with one of my sisters, the eldest sister. So like if I have 100 contact database, these are sister I can call. Unajua namna gani? Hebu nirushia 100k, nimekwama mahali ananirushia, na yeye akaniambia nimekwama nirushia 150, namrushia. So you see, beginning from where I am, from nuclear family, like my sister is already there. Then I look at extended. Not all my cousins may be very close to me, but how many, is it 2 or 3 cousins that we add value to each other? We are going for a hike. They are tunachangamka pamoja, wananiita hike, tunachangamka pamoja. So you really go to your phone book, or think over it. Really, who are the people you interact with? Really, who are the people who sometimes call you just to know how you are doing? People who are genuinely concerned about your well-doing. These are people who should not miss in the 100 contact database. So it's a matter of sitting down and having a reflection on people you have interacted with, from family level, from friends level, from colleagues level, because again, you could be having 300 colleagues, but out of the 300, maybe only 5 even know where you stay or have visited you. So the 5 can find themselves in the 100 contact database. Clients, again, maybe you have so many clients, but who are those? Like they help you with the 20-80-20 rule. It's one client, but they have given you like 20 other clients. That's a contact of that client needs to be part of the 100 contact database. So it's really categorizing your networks and seeing people who have most value to you and ensuring that they don't miss out. Hope I've answered you.
Perfectly. So thank you very much. This was a great honor to have you here in today's session. I would say thank you. You've really done a lot in terms of challenging people to think differently. At least also for me, the thing I come out of this session having learned is on networking. I think that's one thing that I really need to take my game to the next level. And just for everyone, so immediately we end this call, you'll be able to see a survey that will come to you. So feel free to fill it out and let us know how the session was, so that we can be able to improve for future sessions. And we thank everyone for joining today's session. Yes, sure. Yeah. So here is Jamlek's contact in case you would like to reach him to learn more from him. So he has a website, jamlekkogi.co.ke. He mentioned he's also on Facebook, on Twitter. If I remember correctly, on Facebook and on Twitter, you are Jamlek Kogi, right?
Yes, on Facebook is Jamlek with an I, Jamlek Kogi, aka MC Kogi, that's Facebook. On Twitter, Instagram is at MC Kogi. Then, of course, on YouTube, my YouTube channel is Kogi Live. Kogi space Live, Kogi Live.
Yes. So in case you have any questions, feel free to reach out to him. And thank you very much. You have been an amazing audience for today's session. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for having me.
You're most welcome, Jamlek. And have yourself a good evening. And to everyone as well.
Thank you.